Hello everyone. Look at that beautiful Acer palmatum, also known as Japanese maple. In the fall, in my garden here, you can't beat this Japanese maple. You can't beat the grandeur of it. I do not know the variety or the cultivar of this Japanese maple. This was original to the house. It was pretty small when we purchased the house, and it has grown so much since then. So this Japanese maple offers 4 seasons of interest. In the spring, the foliage is purplish, reddish. In the summer, it's green, and in the fall, it gives you this beautiful foliage color, reddish, orange, yellow, and it is not fall, or I don't consider it peak fall until this Japanese maple turns this into this beautiful color show. In the winter, it also offers another interest, and that is the bark, the branches, everything. It has a nice, beautiful structure. So there's just a lot of pros for having a Japanese maple. You cannot go wrong with having one in your garden. So you may be asking, what are the challenges of growing a Japanese maple? Well, as far as the plant itself, I haven't noticed like huge issues with growing it. Now it does take some time to get it going. Give it 3 years and it should start thriving for you. But the issue that people may come across with growing a Japanese maple, especially if you have a mature one such as this one, is having plants underneath the Japanese maple. In other words, the challenge is knowing what plants you can grow underneath a Japanese maple. And the reason that is because Japanese maples have very fibrous root system, and it's like a net, actually like a network of fibrous system, and the roots go down 2 feet to 3 feet down in the ground, and it spreads. And I would say that it spreads as far as it is high. Because of that, you might have some challenges planting plants underneath a Japanese maple, especially underneath a mature one. So today I will share with you the plants that I have underneath the Japanese maple here, and you can see for yourself whether they are doing really great or not, and I'll give you specific details based on my experience here with these plants. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's give you an overview of the plants underneath this Japanese maple. The evergreens were the ones that I put first, and they were there starting in 2020. And then later on, I added the shrubs, the flowering shrubs, and some small perennials in the front over there. And then also I added these ground covers maybe a year or 2 ago, along with the carex. So these are coming along. What you'll notice is that the plants grow slower when they're underneath the Japanese maple, and the reason is because, you know, of the competition, the root competition, and also because plants underneath a tree, it can be a Japanese maple or another tree, the environment tends to be a lot more dry. So not only do you have root competition, you also have nutrients such as water competition as well. Most of the evergreens I have here, these spreading ones, are junipers, with that one being a spruce. there. That one seems to struggle the most. It grows a lot, or has been growing a lot slower than the junipers here. Now these are the dwarf arborvitaes. They're called heads, arborvitaes, heads, midgets. So they are kind of like where they should be as far as height and width-wise. But if I know that if they were to be in another location, they would be a lot bigger than these. But right now, I feel like they're where they should be. What you will also notice is because I wanted the Japanese maple to be the specimen plant, the one plant that stands out, I planted on the bottom, plants that don't really stand out. So I focus more on foliage. Now you'll also see that I have hydrangeas here. Now hydrangeas, in my opinion, they are more of like standout plants on their own. So I know that they don't belong here, and I have no idea why I decided to put them here. I'm thinking at the time it may be because they needed some shade protection, and also maybe I was thinking that they would get less fungus spots here because with the protection of the tree above, they wouldn't get as wet when it rains. So I'm thinking those are the two reasons why I put them there. But as far as them looking good with the Japanese maple, they don't really look good with the Japanese maple here at all. It's just, in my opinion, I don't think so. Mostly it's because of the color of the blooms. So they mostly look like that, or they can be a little bit more bluer if I were to add fertilizer to them. Otherwise, on their own, they're that color. In the spring, when the Japanese foliage is more on the reddish, purplish, maybe it goes better with that. Also, when the leaves are more greenish in the summer, maybe they go well, but I know that, in my opinion, I would not have chosen that, mainly because of the color of the hydrangeas. But I did put two hydrangeas here. These are lace cap hydrangeas, and they are more in the white color family, so I feel like they would go better with the Japanese maple here. And I put this here because I needed some structure to help support the stems of the hydrangea over here, and over there I had put it there so that it could help with soil erosion when it rains, and it helps to absorb the water because, as you know, hydrangeas love water. And over here I do have some colors. Do have perennials. That one is hardy geranium, and it does produce pink flowers. That one is candy tufts. It's white in blooms, and then that is Lithodora with blue flowers. So here I have, kind of some colors going on, but I feel like the flowers or the plants are short-lived anyway as far as the blooms go, so I don't feel that they compete with the Japanese maple. So here I have creeping thyme, two different colors. Daniela is more of a bluish green in color, so still playing with the foliage theme. And then here, this is an arborvitae fern, and it does have fall foliage, fall interest. So you can see that it started off with oranges in color, and eventually it will fall off. But you can see there's still some green right there too. So this is a nice. I love this. It's a beautiful fern-like arborvitae. So that I feel goes well with the Japanese maple. So my neighbor gifted us with this nice big rock. I don't know if I should call that a boulder, but yeah, to me it's a nice big rock. And another one right there. And I really appreciated that they were able to give these two rocks to us. And it goes beautifully with the Japanese maple garden. And look at that, look at all that moss. Beautiful, right? And I think it's gonna look so good together with this Lithidora. I'm hoping that it's not going to die. For some reason, Lithidora does not do well here. I've tried it so many times. I think, when I say many times, I think this is my second or third year. And this year, for some reason, they are staying. So I have 3 clumps right here. So cross my fingers that they will make it. So hopefully the winter will not kill them. This is Soft Touch Compact Holly. It's a Japanese version. Let me show you the tag. Maybe not. So this is Soft Touch Compact Holly. And let's see. So this was put in here, I believe, in 2020 as well. And you can see that it only gets 2 to 3 feet high and wide. So a little bit shorter and a little less wider than it should be, but for the most part, I think it's doing pretty good over here. So that one, so I have 2 other ones right there. So you just saw some of the plants that I have planted here. I will say that in the beginning, I just planted whatever I liked. And I would say the same for you. So if you like a certain plant and you want to plant it under this Japanese maple, I would say go ahead and plant it. With gardening, there's just so many factors that just go into how plants, how plants will do. What does well in my growing condition may not do well in your growing condition. So it's just good to experiment. The worst case situation is that the plant might not do well. And if that's the case, then I would recommend go ahead and move it to a different location in your garden. So it's just good to try out first and plant what you like. So when I started gardening, I thought by planting the plants around the perimeter of the Japanese maple would still stand out. So that was my justification for it. And it turned out to be really good because it was definitely easier to dig around the perimeter of the Japanese maple versus towards the inside of the canopy here. And I think it was a lot easier to dig too because at that time the Japanese maple was smaller. So that was another good thing as well. Now that I have more experience with what plants work well in my garden here, I'm excited to be adding more plants towards the center of the Japanese maple here, focusing mainly on ground covers with shallow roots such as sedum. And I also want to add more moss and maybe a little bit more of the hostas. And from what I read, hostas don't really mind the root competition. So maybe I'm thinking I can add a little bit more hostas. The downside to having hostas is that you have to deal with slugs. And that's something that I'm going back and forth about. So I've already dug up a lot of the hostas before because I didn't want to have to deal with the foliage issue at the end of the season, and then also having the foliage gets attacked by the slugs or snails. Slugs and snails, that is. All right, so what is my conclusion about planting plants underneath a tree like a Japanese maple? I would say experiment and plant what you love first, and see whether they're going to do well or not, and then just move them accordingly. And then also shallow rooted plants do better, and dwarf plants will do better, will do well because they are slow growing anyway. Of course, plants that don't mind the root competition, those will be good. So with that, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it enjoyable and helpful. And until my next video, take care and bye for now.
It's me, the Mario. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any more content.